Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining me in this webinar. I should say upfront that whoever was at the User Lab Day last Monday in Lucerne, this is basically the same presentation. I gave it there, and I'm giving it again. Will be recorded and made available online, because these are the important information necessary for applicants who want to submit proposals in the next few calls. And the reason why this is particularly important right now, it's because we are in this transition period from Piz Daint to Alps. And unfortunately, we have to change a few things, put some additional restrictions. And I just want to be clear on what is going to happen in the next call for proposals. I suggest that I go through my presentation, and then I will have the Q&A sessions. I will have time, so if you have questions, do not hesitate to stay and ask in the end. The presentation will be no longer than 25-30 minutes. So for those of you who might not yet or not know me, I'm Maria Grazia Giuffreda, and I'm responsible for the user program at CSES. So why do we have this submission of proposals at CSES? Because basically we have been putting on the floor and giving access to world-class resources. And of course, once the users get used to have large allocations, there is always oversubscriptions. And then it's also always good to have some competition. And it's because we have to guarantee, because we have to guarantee basically high quality of science. And in order to do that, it's always good to have a peer review process. Access to CSES infrastructure is nothing is really changed here. I mean, this is the Piz Daint, and in the future, the high performance computing platform, the HPC platform on Alps, will be open to scientific researchers who need large computing resources to do their work, so to carry on their research. And we have two national calls per year. In the past, we were also calling them the Tier 1 call for proposals. And we have one Tier 0 CHRONOS call for proposal. And I will give a few details about both kind of calls. Just very quickly, for those of you who are not aware, we have a preparatory access, and the preparatory access is always mandatory if this is the first time that you are asking for resources on our infrastructure. And so you need an allocation to basically prepare your code and your technical report. We have production projects. We allow these small allocations because sometimes groups need a little more time before they can really get up to speed and ask for large resources. So the small production projects are meant mainly to gain momentum and then being prepared for large allocations. And the CHRONOS proposal remains the Tier 0. So if you have requests that they are over 1 million node hours, but I give you more details a little later on. Of course, I must say upfront that once we go from Piz Daint to Alps, we will actually review these numbers. It might be that they will be slightly increased depending on how the HPC platform for the user program will be set up. who can apply. As mentioned already, we don't have really a lot of restraints. The only mandatory thing is that the PI has to hold at least a postdoc position in the institutions from where he is applying from. There are the various groups can submit for sure more than one proposals. However, you have to be fully aware that if the groups you are working with submit more than one proposal, the proposals have to be fully independent. The technical report have to be tailored for the specific project. You cannot simply do it once on hypothetical things and then stick it in your proposal, because it has happened. It has happened actually in this last call that we have just finished reviewed, and the proposal are actually penalized, because this is not the idea of submitting a technical description. Tier 0 call for proposal. So I don't know how much you remember of CSES, but up until 2022, these calls were actually part of the PRAISE Tier 0 call for proposal. CSES was an hosting member in the PRAISE call, and so we were offering these kind of resources into an European call. Unfortunately, in 2022, with call 24, PRAISE ceased to be the distributor of, or the one body overviewing the distribution of large resources in Europe. And because then Switzerland also dropped the negotiations with the European Commission, we are out of the European scenario up to a point. Because we were still in Horizon 2020, Swiss applicants can still apply for resources in the Euro HPC joint undertaking extreme calls, because Switzerland was a legitimate partner in those in that program. So Euro HPC joint undertaking extreme call for proposal, who are also Tier 0 call for proposal, are open for scientific users. So Swiss users. CHRONOS is the large call for proposal at CSES. It stands for Computational Intensive High Impact Research on Novel Outstanding Science. This is an annual call. Now, 2023 was a bit special, but from the next year on, this will remain again an annual call for proposal. So the CHRONOS Tier 0 project basically have to really, what we are trying to tell our users is that they should think big. They should think of one specific challenging problems where they need large resources to address. And what is nice about the CHRONOS proposal is that, I mean, because this is very large allocation, you should be ready to go from day one. So there is no preparation time before you have to start using your allocation. They can be risky. They should be risky, because they should be something that go beyond the standard field of research that the group is carrying on. Should be really one challenging problems that you really would like to address, and can also fail in the end, because if you take risk, you also have to you also can face the risk of failing in the end. The CHRONOS proposal requirements are really written, well described in our webpage. The reason why CSES had to become very strict and also introduce a font and spacing and margins is because applicants have become or have always been very imaginative, and because to fit in the 15 pages or the 10 pages of the national call, they started to use very small fonts, very impossible to read, and scientific reviewers were really complaining about this. And so in the end, we needed to really become more strict also in this kind of requirements. You have to submit still the same thing, your project proposal, your curriculum vitae in a PDF format, and your publication list. But the publication list should really be limited to the last 5 years of your careers. The deadline for CHRONOS proposal. So this is really important, because this is where always the confusion has come from. So in the next deadline for submission of proposal on the 16th of October, there will still be a CHRONOS call. This is the second CHRONOS call for 2023. So 2023 had 2 calls rather than 1. But this is because we still have some resources on LumiG, and we want to distribute these resources on LumiG. And so this is why next call is still, there will still be a CHRONOS call in the next deadline. So for those of you who are not yet aware, we are part of the consortium that put LumiG on the floor. So we are a part of one of the 10 countries that created the Lumi consortium, and together with the European Commission put on the floor the first pre-exascale system in Europe, as called Lumi, which in Finnish means snow. And these are the characteristics of the LumiG. It's absolutely important that you realize that if you want to submit a CHRONOS proposal on LumiG and you do not have access on LumiG, you need to apply for a preparatory access, because we will need the data on LumiG and not on Piz Daint. Lumi is an AMD system and is different from Piz Daint. Piz Daint so is not available in the CHRONOS call, but Piz Daint was already not available in the last CHRONOS call, and Alps unfortunately is not yet available for the CHRONOS call. We were hoping to have already enough hardware on the ground, on the floor, to allow preparation for the CHRONOS, but unfortunately we don't have that, and so we cannot open a CHRONOS call on Alps yet. What is also, but I already mentioned this, so it's just a repetition of what I said. You need to have the technical data on LumiG. So please, because there is really not much time left from today to the 16th of October, if you are interested, submit a preparatory access. What is going to happen to Alps? I mean, Alps is finally coming. By the end of the year, we will start the installation of the Grace Hopper system, and by the first quarter of 2024, the full installation should be complete. And the 1st of April 2024, we expect the system to be in production. This is just the first row of the Alps system. Actually, this is the AMD partition, the Eiger, what you know as Eiger. But we will have, the cabinets are already on the in our machine room, and we will are filling in as the hardware comes. So the first CHRONOS call that will address, will also put resources on Alps, is the annual call of 2024. And if you want to apply for Alps, and of course for what is left of LumiG, the deadline for submission of proposal will be the 20th of May 2024, to start of course on October 1st. And this will be the regular CHRONOS Tier 0 call for proposal, where you will be able to apply for Alps and for LumiG. Now, the national call for proposals, as I mentioned in the very beginning, we just completed the call to start allocation on 1st of October, and today the applicants will receive the letter on the fate of their proposal. We will have again the requirement for the national call for proposals for the are unchanged. The reason why we have become strict is exactly what I mentioned for the CHRONOS call. You have to follow the instructions because we need to be fair also towards the people that do technical and scientific assessment. You need to provide a project proposal in PDF. You need to provide a curricula in a PDF, and you need to provide the publication list of the last 5 years in PDF format. I'm not going to go through this, first because nothing has really changed with respect to what you know up to now. Unfortunately, we cannot give you access to the HPC platforms on Alps because we have not enough hardware yet. We do have some hardware, but this is just for CSES to test. And this is why it made no sense to change the project proposal description in this very moment. What we will do, because you will be allowed to apply, you will have access to Alps, because basically the next call for proposal will start on April 1st, 2024 on the HPC platform on Alps. But we will contact users, and we will help them move on the new infrastructure. What is very important for you to know is that we are actually reviewing our templates, because it is important that we are actually updated our technical templates for the new machine. And so we will talk about this in the coming months. We will give webinars to explain the new templates, and we will also help you provide the technical reports as usual if anything is unclear on, or you don't know how to do it for the first time. So in the next months, we will come up with a series of a repetition also of webinars where we will talk about the new template. So in the first national call for proposal, with deadline on 16th of October to start on April 1st, we will only accept again 1-year proposal. There will be no multi-year proposal submission, and this is due to the transition from Piz Daint to Alps. I'm sorry, I know that for some of you this is a bit of a burden, or a big burden, I don't know, but unfortunately we need to, because Alps and the grasshopper architecture is really different from Piz Daint, and the idea of the Alps infrastructure is very different from what you have known so far. We need to have a clean transition, so we don't want to stop you from doing your research, but we have to ask for your help and be a bit understanding, and help us do the transition from Piz Daint to Alps in a smoother way. So next call for proposal, only 1-year project will be submitted. What we will accept, even though it's not written anywhere, what we will accept is if you submit sort of a renewal of your proposal, which means that you will have to, if you still have problems that under the umbrella of the original proposal, you can simply review your proposal, tell us what you have achieved so far and what are the new questions that you want to answer, and we will accept that. But it still has to be not the identical proposal of that you submit in October 16. As for now, the multi-core resources are always the most critical one from CSCS, because we don't have a very large multi-core partition at the moment. I mean, the AMD partition it's relatively small compared to the Gray-Sopper partition that we will put on the floor. And again, part of this multi-core Eiger, part of this partition is dedicated to paying customers, exactly as it was on Piz Daint. So nothing has really changed. But the good news for those of you who really have no possibility to move on GPUs and take advantage of this super beautiful Gray-Sopper processor, that we have access to LumiC, and LumiC is really identical to Eiger, and this access will remain until 2026, because we are part of the consortium. We have a share on the GPU partition of LumiG, but we also have a small share on the LumiC partition. So proposals requesting multi-core, purely multi-core allocation will have to run either on LumiC or alternatively on Eiger on Alps. Now, this also means that if you have a multi-core code and you are thinking of applying for resources in the next call for proposal, all your technical data have to be submitted on Eiger or Lumi. You cannot provide Daint multi-core, because then the proposal will be technically rejected, actually should be administratively rejected already. What I also have to say, and I said already last time, and nothing has changed yet, we are still discussing whether there will be a possibility to have some of the proposals, multi-core proposal, still allocated on the Gray-Sopper partition. If you have, for example, you use all the other characteristic of the super processor, because the Grace is also a very powerful processor and a very powerful ARM processor. But we have not yet have this fully completed discussion, and we have not yet come up with a scheme, simply because we also need some time to understand the Gray-Sopper architecture, and to understand what are the characteristics of the application that will take full advantage of this new system. So just to summarize, because I'm talking about a lot of numbers and I'm saying a lot of things, the Swiss share on LumiC, it will depend on how much resources we are allocating for the 1st of October. I have already done this exercise, but I don't have the final number in my hands, but it should be, I think, around 2 million node hours. The Lumi share, the LumiG share, Swiss share, is again the original 5 million, because the first year proposal are finishing in January, and so we can start the new proposal. As for the transition from Piz Daint hybrid to Alps Gray-Sopper, unfortunately, we will not have Gray-Sopper available before the 16th of October, which is the deadline for submission of proposal. We will contact users in the first quarter of 2024 to actually help the transition from Piz Daint to Alps. So the transition phase from Piz Daint to Alps, there will be no access, as I just said. Unfortunately, it's later than expected, the arrival of the hardware, and so we cannot provide yet access to the Gray-Sopper. CSCS has started, though, benchmarking some of our supported application, and what my colleagues that they are doing the work are telling me that so far the porting of the application has been pretty straightforward and smooth, but we need a bigger size to also start seeing the real behavior of the applications. We will try to contact, we will do our best to contact the users as soon as we have a stable Alps, so that you can benchmark your own application and prepare for the transition from Piz Daint to Alps. And we will also ask for the scientific advisory committee, actually, and with the technical expert to assure a smooth transition of the allocation from Piz Daint to Alps. So now the important, what you also need to know is that, of course, there are ongoing proposal on Piz Daint, and this ongoing proposal will move to Alps on the 1st of October, on the 1st of April 2024. Some of them might be migrated earlier. We are trying to write down a plan on how this transition and how this migration is going to go. I said this, and I want to repeat it because there is a risk, there is a real risk that, contrary to what happened in the past when we were upgrading our system or replacing our system, we will not have 3 or 6 months overlapping between the two machines, but we will only be able to have the Piz Daint and Alps for a very short period, overlapping for a very short period. And the very short period can be less than a month, so can be really a couple of weeks. And so I know that this is stressful, and I know that this is not what you really are expecting or what you would like to see. But the reason is that to put on Alps, to actually switch on Alps, we need to switch off Daint for energy consumption reasons. So we cannot have the two systems up and running at the same time. Starting from April 1st, 2024, the HPC platform on Alps will be serving the user program and should be fully in production. It will not be called HPC platform. Will be having a name of a mountain, so it might very much be also that it will keep maintaining the Piz Daint name. I heard that our director Thomas Schultes has already mentioned this in some public lectures. So we will go from Piz Daint as we know it now to a Piz Daint on Alps. The deadline for submission of proposal, I think this is also rather important, that you are always aware that on our user lab webpage under allocation schemes, there is also a deadline entry. And we always make sure to have 4 deadlines published there already. Now, the 1st of October, we have done the scientific advisory committee meeting last week. So this allocation will disappear, and there will be the second deadline for 1st of October 2025 appearing in the end. And so you see, you have the next deadline is October 16. The one after that is May 20, 2024, and the one after that will be 21st of October 2024. So you already can prepare and organize your work such that you know which deadline you want to target and be ready for that. So just in summary, CHRONOS call for proposal with deadline on the 16th of October will only target the LumiG share. Piz Daint is no longer available for CHRONOS. The annual CHRONOS call for proposal in 2024 with deadline on May 20th will be targeting Alps Grasshopper, so the HPC platforms on Alps, and LumiG, whatever is left of the Swiss share of Lumi. 2024 first national call for proposal. Piz Daint hybrid only available because the deadline is the 16th of October, so nothing has changed there. Piz Daint multi-core is no longer available. Multi-core project will have to target LumiC and Eiger. Eiger is at CSES, LumiC is in Finland. The machines are identical, so they are exactly the same. Multi-year projects are for this call suspended, so 2023 doesn't offer multi-year project, but from the deadline on May 20, 2024, you will be able, as a professor, to submit again a multi-year project. That can be 2 or 3 years project. But when you do that, I have to really stress out, but this will be more for the next webinar, you need to have a plan. You need to provide 2 or 3 milestones per year of what you want to achieve, because the renewals have to be checked against the milestones that you put in your original proposal. Machine learning exploratory call. We have been talking a lot about this machine learning exploratory call, and we have not yet opened it. I don't know how much you have heard of CSES becoming the partner in the AI, in the Swiss AI initiative. There is a big Swiss AI initiative ongoing, funded by the Federation, and there has been articles published by the Federation about the series announcing exactly this. So CSES is partner of the Swiss AI initiative. So, but the thing is that for those of you, for those institutions, let's put it this way, that they are not directly involved in the AI initiative, or those groups that still would like to do machine learning, but they are not really involved in any of these super big initiatives, we still want to allow you to actually use our infrastructure for machine learning. The thing is that we don't know yet, besides the standard Jupyter Lab and PyTorch, so this is the standard machine learning that we have seen so far, where, of course, these tools will be also available on the HPC platform and on the machine learning platform on the Alps infrastructure. If you really want to have, if you really have other types of machine learning problems and ideas that you would like to develop, in order to help you do that, we ask you to basically submit a preparatory access type of work of submission. So 1 page where you describe what you want to do and what are the tools, the codes that you need. And then we will actually allow you to go on the system and do this preparatory work. And based on the outcome of these, so if we really see an interest beyond the big Swiss AI initiative, of course, the Alps infrastructure is particularly well suited for machine learning type of work. I think you have read enough about Alps, about all the announcement of NVIDIA about the Alps infrastructure. So machine learning exploratory call. I could even say that you can already start submitting. There is no problem in submitting already now. The only thing is that the infrastructure will be available in Q1 24. So even if you submit it now, you will have to wait for the machine to be stable and accessible to the users to start actually do your work. Acknowledgement and outreach. I would like to stress again that it's absolutely important for CSES that when you submit your proposal, when you publish papers coming out of the work that you've done on CSCS that you acknowledge using resources at CSCS. If you follow the link that I put there, we have given 4 different acknowledgement, whether you are part of the user program, whether you are whether your results are from a share allocation, whether you have run on LumiC or or whatever. So please have a look, because if you don't know how to acknowledge, we already provide suggestions. And it's important for us because it's one of our the way we measure the success of the distribution of resources. So see, if you have publications in peer-reviewed journals, that means that we did a good job in granting, I mean the reviewers and the SAC did a good job in granting these resources. You also probably, if you are a PI, you know that regularly I sent you an email reminding you whether you have any interesting results that you would like to be publicized, or also, but more for a more general public, not for your peers. Then we are very happy to, I'm very happy always to put you in contact with our scientific editor and have it, and have an article published on our webpage. EuroHPC joint undertaking calls for extreme scale. I mentioned already that Swiss applicants are eligible for these calls because these are still under Horizon 2020, when Switzerland was a legitimate partner in the in the EU. So Swiss applicants are allowed to apply for resources. The next deadline for submission of resource for the extreme scale is October 6th. Actually, there should be all, besides Leonardo Booster, Leonardo Booster, Lumi, there should be now also Mare Nostrum 5 available. These are the 3 pre-exascale infrastructure that have been put on the floor in Europe together with the EuroHPC joint undertaking. Remember, Swiss applicants can apply, are entitled to apply for this course. This is now my very last slide, just for your information, in case you are interested. Then we already have a date for the next User Lab Day, and the next User Lab Day I can already foresee will be again very much hands-on with parallel session addressing the Alps infrastructure. And then for those of you who are also following CSCS and our conferences, the PASS conference next year will be TTA Ungeberg in Zurich, the June 3rd to 5th. And with this, I thank you very much for your attention. I hope that I have given sufficient information. However, we can now open the Q&A. I think it would be also possible, if you raise your hand, it would be also possible for us to simply allow you to talk. Yes. So if you prefer talking rather than writing down, please just raise your hand and we unmute you. There are a couple of questions on the Q&A. So the transition period from Daint to Alps of a couple of weeks is completely unrealistic, given the fact that it usually takes few months until a new machine runs stably. LumiG, even now, do you have any backup plan to smoothen the transition, or we will just be left on our own? Urs, as I mentioned, maybe not so clearly, we are not planning to leave you on your own, but we will. It will be basically a a mutual effort, in the sense that we hope you are willing to work with us to port your application and to solve any problems that you might be facing. For you, I am not completely worried, because you have already large allocations on LumiG, and so you I mean, your research will not be stopped completely. There might be different cases, but we will do our best, first of all, to open the machine to the user as soon as we can, so that at least those that have large allocations can go on the system and start putting the applications. And we will do our best to put a major effort from CSES to help users porting their allocation on Grasshopper. I do know that this is unusual. I fully agree with you. I remember our transition from Monte Rosa to Piz Daint. The overlapping was much longer, and so users were not really suffering too much. But this is the best we can do. We don't plan to leave you on your own. We would very much appreciate if we can work together to make this transition very smooth. I don't know whether you are happy with my answer, but this is what I'm basically saying. There is another one. Will user have to migrate their data from Piz Daint to Alps, or will be done behind the scenes? Yes, that's a very good question. So I was hoping to have a much more detailed plan on our storage strategy, because this is really important. What I've been told is that, contrary to the compute resources, the storage infrastructure will remain available for longer. We will have to have a serious migration plan, because moving data, I absolutely agree, moving data requires a lot of time. So I cannot yet tell you whether CSES will do this, or it will be done in collaboration with the applicants, but we will come to you with a very detailed plan as soon as possible. We might even do a webinar dedicated to this. So no computational discussion, but just the storage policies and storage migration at CSES. Yeah, sorry. Again, I was hoping to be much more detailed than this, but we still are working on this plan, and we are still smoothing down or nailing down the final details. But I will promise you that we will come to you with the storage migration plan. There is another question. I have an access to Daint through another project. I want to apply with a new project by 16th of October. My technical report will be through Daint. Would this be a problem? As I mentioned, for the 16th of October deadline, the technical data must be on Piz Daint if you are targeting the HPC platform on Alps, because we have no alternative. So data provided on Daint will be accepted for the next allocation. If we don't mind how you collect your data, as long as the data are there and are done properly. We don't ask you to give us the ID of your preparatory project. So that's perfectly fine. Is there already any data of VASP running on the Grasshopper modules? No, as far as I know, VASP has not. I mean, I have no news on VASP. I don't know if there are any. I don't see any colleagues. I don't know if, Guilherme, you have a better knowledge, but no, we don't know about about VASP. Also because VASP is not an open source code, so it will have to be up to the VASP developer to port the application on Grace Hopper. CSES cannot really do anything. We are working with some of the applications that they are very important for CSES. We are GROMACS. We know that the GROMACS team led by Eric Lindahl is moving the code to any architecture available out there, but for non-open source code, CSES cannot really force or enforce any decision. They will have to decide whether they can port the code on the Grace Hopper infrastructure. We currently have an allocation on Piz Daint, which ends of this month. We are in the very last stages of our research, and we need a small extension of our allocation of maximum of a month. This has nothing to do with the webinar, so you should contact me separately by sending an email, and also because I need to know who you are to address this problem. Another question is, can proposal for Alps be sent with technical data from another machine? Absolutely not. This is what we have been saying since ever. So basically, for the May 20th deadline for submission of proposal, you will have access to the Grace Hopper. So you will have to provide your technical data on Grace Hopper, but rest assured that, as I mentioned in my presentation, we are reviewing our technical template, and we are shaping it such that the data makes sense on the Alps infrastructure. So we will not change what CSES has been saying since years, really, since years. The technical data have to help us to understand how your code will impact the system. And for that reason, we need to know how your code for your specific problems will run on our machine. So the technical data have to be targeted on the machine of submission. The only reason why we cannot do this for the 16th of October is because we don't have enough Grace Hopper to tell users you have to run your technical data on the Grace Hopper. So the final answer is yes, you will need to have data on the Grace Hopper. Yes, there is a raised hand. I can unmute. Yep.
Yes, hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes, so that was my question, but I was referring to the call for the 16th of October. So for that particular call, can we submit technical data from another machine? Because
only from Piz Daint. That's it. Your targeted machine will have to be Piz Daint.
But it will not run on Piz Daint in the end.
What?
It will not run on Piz Daint.
Yes, but we need to make the life of technical people also easy. So the targeted system remains Piz Daint, and then we will do all an effort together with the panel to understand how the allocation will be translated from Piz Daint to Alps. But we don't want to have random system out there. We cannot afford this. We cannot understand how other systems are running or other systems are doing things. So this is why it has to be as simple as that. So from Piz Daint to Alps.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks
for speaking up. It's easier sometimes to any other questions or any other things? Yes, please. Yes.
I guess you can hear me now.
Yep.
Well, thank you first for the talk and a lot of info. My question is about the possible renewal of a project we have already on Piz Daint. It was granted initially for 3 years, but then was just cut to 1 year. So I'm just kind of curious how different or how.
No, if it was cut to 1 year, there is no renewal. It means that you have to submit a new proposal and you have to probably read it. Now, I don't know which proposal is this, so I had to go and read the final allocation decision and why it was cut to 1 year, was granted for 1 year only. You will have to submit a new proposal, and also keep in mind, I mean, as I said, what are unless you remember what were the decision, why you were just cut to 1 year. Submitting a multi-year proposal does not imply that the multi-year proposal will be accepted. The multi-year proposal still will go under revision, and if for whatever reason the panel is not satisfied or things are missing or a plan is missing, it will not be granted for 3 years. So there is always the possibility that the multi-year project is granted, but just for 1 year and not the multi-year that has been asked. I don't remember. I mean, I don't remember by heart what was the reasoning why your proposal was just 1 year and not the original length.
I don't remember myself.
Exactly. So I should go and have a look at the. But we can discuss this. Certainly, I can have a look and see what happened there.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Other questions, concerns, or things that you would like to ask to answer and that I haven't answered in this specific webinar, but that we can still do it? No, I don't see any other raised hand, and I don't see questions. If you're all happy, and if there are no additional information or questions that you want to ask, I would like to thank you all for participating. It's always important that we interact and that we discuss openly also of the things that you might not be fully happy, because this is life. We will try, we do our best to not stop you in your research. This will be a special kind of transition. I totally agree with you, but we also will try to do our best to really help you move your applications from Piz Daint to Alps. It might be that, like Urs mentioned, that the system might not be super stable from day one, but we will have to help each other, I think. And please also keep in mind that the machine is much more powerful than Piz Daint, really literally much more powerful than Piz Daint. And so if there is a period of instability that will impact your utilization of the resources, we will certainly find a way to make up to you and maybe extend your allocations or increase your allocation for the remaining period. So we will try our best to really minimize the impact of the transition. But yes, I cannot deny that there will be an impact on the migration from Piz Daint to Alps. But the good news is that for some application, the first feeling is that they have been compiled flawlessly on the Grasshopper. I think that I might have heard, but this, take it as a rumor, not as a scientific statement, that actually the Grasshopper is much more similar to the Piz Daint, the current Piz Daint, than Piz Daint and the AMD architecture. So I think we should be positive and just try to be all working together to have the transition and the migration smooth. Very good. I don't see any other raised hands, so thank you very much. The webinar will be published again, so people can look again and offline and see. So be prepared for the next allocation, next submissions of proposal. And as usual, you can always contact me if you have other questions about submissions that they are not clear and you would like to have more clarification. So enjoy your day, enjoy the rest of the week, and see you next time.